State is known for its bright skylines, historic towns, and world-famous landmarks. But beyond the postcards and city lights, there's another side to New York. A colder side. A side filled with abandoned halls, whispered legends, and places where the past seems to refuse to stay buried. Across this state, there are buildings where footsteps echo with no living source, hospitals where shadows still move after midnight, and old estates where the air itself feels heavy with memory. These are the places locals warn each other about, the places tourists photograph without knowing what happened there. The places said to be haunted by tragedy, grief, and something far harder to explain. Tonight, we're counting down 10 of the most haunted places in New York State, and as we go deeper, each location becomes a little darker, a little stranger, and a little harder to dismiss. If you enjoy dark history, paranormal mysteries, and true haunting legends, stay with this one until the end. Rolling Hills Asylum began life in 1827 as the Genesee County Poorhouse, a place built to house the poor, the sick, the elderly, and the forgotten. Over the decades, the property saw suffering, isolation, and death. Many of the people who lived there were buried in unmarked graves nearby, and that tragic history is one reason the site has become one of the most infamous haunted locations in Western New York. Visitors and investigators have reported hearing voices in empty rooms, seeing shadow figures in hallways, and feeling sudden cold spots in areas with no explanation. Some say they've heard children laughing. Others claim they've seen a man in the window watching from the second floor. The energy here is described as oppressive, like the building remembers every life it took in silence. The asylum's long history of pain gives every creak and echo a disturbing weight. This is not just a haunted building. It feels like a place trapped between abandonment and memory. The Hotel Lafayette opened in 1904 as a luxury hotel designed to impress. Elegant, grand, and full of early 20th century ambition, it hosted travelers, politicians, and performers for decades. But like many old hotels, it also collected tragedy along the way. Over time, stories spread of unexplained sounds, flickering lights, and guests who checked into a room only to feel they were not alone. One of the most common legends tied to the hotel is the presence of spirits seen roaming the upper floors and stairwells. Staff and guests have reported strange voices in empty corridors and doors that slam shut on their own. Some describe the feeling of being gently watched, as though an unseen presence is lingering just outside the edge of vision. The Hotel Lafayette carries the haunting contrast of glamour and decay. It is beautiful, but beneath that elegance is the unsettling sense that some of the guests never truly left. The Shanley Hotel has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in the Hudson Valley. Built in the late 1800s, it served as a luxury retreat, a restaurant, and even a place linked to doctors, patients, and tragic loss. Over the years, the building's history grew darker as reports of unexplained phenomena increased. People have claimed to see apparitions, hear children playing when no one is there, and witness objects moving on their own. Room 7 is especially famous among paranormal enthusiasts, with reports of a woman's spirit lingering there. The hotel's restaurant and basement have also been linked to odd sounds, disembodied footsteps, and the sensation of being touched by something invisible, off-screen audio, children's disembodied laughter, whispering presence. What makes the Shanley Hotel so unsettling is how active it remains. This is not a story from the distant past. It is a place where guests still describe unexplained encounters today. The Keeler Tavern's history stretches back to the 18th century, when it served as a tavern, inn, and stagecoach stop. During the Revolutionary era, the building even sustained damage from a cannonball, which remains part of its legend. With that much history packed into one structure, it's no surprise that people believe it to be haunted. Staff and visitors have reported seeing a woman in old-fashioned clothing, hearing footsteps in rooms that should be empty, and sensing sudden shifts in temperature. Some accounts describe doors opening and closing on their own. Others tell of a presence near the old fireplace, as if the house is still occupied by those who once lived and worked there. The Keeler Tavern feels less like a museum and more like a place where the Revolutionary era never fully ended. Bannerman Castle was built in the early 1900s as a military surplus warehouse and private retreat for Francis Bannerman VI. Its crumbling stone walls sit on Polypel Island in the Hudson River, and the ruins have long attracted ghost stories and urban legends. The island's isolation only makes the atmosphere more eerie. Over the years, visitors and boaters have reported strange lights, unexplained sounds, and the feeling that someone is watching from the ruins. Some legends say the castle is haunted by Bannerman himself and by the family history tied to the estate. Others insist that the island's abandoned structures have created a place where the boundary between past and present feels dangerously thin. Bannerman Castle is haunting in a different way. It is beautiful, decaying, and unreachable, as if nature and time have been slowly reclaiming it while something inside still remains. The Amityville House is one of the most famous haunted locations in the world. Its reputation was forever shaped by the violent events that took place there in 1974, followed by decades of paranormal claims and public fascination. The house became a symbol of American horror, with stories of dark energy, apparitions, and unexplained disturbances spreading far beyond New York. The house's legend includes reports of green slime seeping from walls, strange voices, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Whether people view the story as haunted history, sensational myth, or something in between, the house remains one of the most infamous addresses in paranormal culture. What makes Amityville so powerful is not just the horror associated with it, but the way its story has persisted for generations. It is less a building now and more a symbol of fear itself. The Merchants House Museum is one of the oldest family homes in New York City, and one of the most unsettling. Built in the 19th century, it preserved the life of the Treadwell family with remarkable detail. But the tragic deaths that occurred inside the house, especially within the family itself, have led many to believe that some of its former residents never left. Visitors have reported apparitions, footsteps on the staircase, and the smell of flowers or perfume in rooms that are empty. Some have seen a woman in period dress standing at the top of the stairs or sensed a presence in the old family bedroom. The museum's preserved interiors make the experience even more unnerving because every object feels like it belongs to someone who could return at any moment. The Merchant's House Museum is haunting because it feels lived in. The silence is deep, but not empty. I should correct this for a New York State-focused script. Franklin Castle is not in New York, so it should not be included here. A stronger New York replacement for this spot would be the Sagamore Resort in Bolton Landing or the Old Fort House Museum in Saratoga, depending on the angle you want.
Soft, distant whisper.
The Sagamore Resort sits on Green Island in Bolton Landing and carries a long history of elegant stays, wealthy guests, and stories of lingering spirits. Like many historic resorts, it has become known for reports of apparitions, footsteps in hallways, and strange happenings in guest rooms. Some visitors claim to have seen a little girl moving through the property, while others describe mysterious figures near the lakefront and in the older sections of the resort. The contrast between its beauty and its haunted reputation makes it especially unsettling. It is the kind of place where you expect comfort, but history keeps breaking through. The Sagamore proves that even luxury and calm can hide a long memory of unrest. Letchworth Village was once a large state institution for children with developmental disabilities. Opened in the early 20th century, it became infamous not only for its isolation, but for the harsh conditions that many residents endured. The site was eventually abandoned, leaving behind crumbling buildings and a legacy of suffering that still lingers in local memory. Paranormal reports from Letchworth include ghostly voices, unexplained figures in windows, and the sensation of being followed through the ruins. Investigators often describe the place as emotionally heavy, with an atmosphere that feels deeply wrong. The stories tied to the site are especially tragic because they connect directly to real human suffering, making the hauntings feel more like echoes than rumors. Children's disembodied laughter audible. Letchworth Village is one of the most haunting places in New York because the pain there feels recent, even now. For the top spot, a powerful New York haunt is Waverly Hills? No, that is Kentucky. For New York State, a better number one is the ghostly halls of the old mental health facilities and historic sites. But for a specific location, the most iconic choice is often the Merchant's House Museum or Letchworth Village, depending on the tone. There are haunted places that scare people because of legends. Then, there are haunted places that scare people because of what really happened there. Letchworth Village belongs to the second category. This was a place where vulnerable people were sent to live, isolated from the world, and surrounded by suffering that left a permanent mark on the land. Even after abandonment, people continued to report strange figures, disembodied voices, and an overwhelming sense that the site was still occupied. The ruins feel less like empty buildings and more like a memory that refuses to disappear. Of all the haunted places in New York State, Letchworth Village stands out because it is not only eerie, it is tragic, and sometimes, the places with the darkest histories leave behind the strongest echoes. New York State is full of history, but some of that history is still standing in the dark, waiting to be heard. From abandoned institutions and haunted hotels to old museums and legendary houses, these places remind us that the past does not always stay where it belongs. If you want more dark history, haunted legends, and cinematic paranormal stories like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next descent into the unknown.